Talking to AK from Flotsam and Jetsam. Thanks for taking the time and talking to me, mate.
Oh, man, thanks for having me.
It's good to have you on. We'll get to the new album in a little while. But talking to someone that's been around a while, no offense, with the way the industry has changed, I mean, even though vinyl's making a comeback, it's not so much as a physical album sale deal as it was back in the day. How has that looked from the viewpoint of someone such as yourself? Better, worse, harder, easier?
It's a lot less money for us. But other than that, we put the monetary part of it aside. It's better and worse at the same time. You know, we used to sell a lot of records and a lot of people had the physical copy of the thing. And that doesn't happen anymore, but we can reach, 3 times the amount of people with a push of a button. So, you lose some here and you gain some here. It's not really worse or better. It's just really different.
Yeah. Okay. Another question along those lines. Imagine there's 2 of you and one of you is just starting out now with the way the industry is now. Which would you rather be?
Oh, that's a good one. Do I get to know everything I know?
All right. Well, look at it from a different way. How do you reckon you would go just starting out now? How do you reckon you would attack it? Would you attack it differently? You don't know what you've been through. You're a young lad just starting out now. How do you reckon you'd find it?
Well, that's a tough one because it's really hard to get noticed without getting too cheesy or without, selling yourself out, or because there's so many bands. I used to tell people there's 1 million metal fans out there and there's, 100,000 bands. So everybody has a pretty good crowd at their shows. Now there's, a million fans out there, but there's also 1 million bands. So everybody gets 1 fan apiece. That's the way the internet has changed the game for everyone. Not only can you reach 1 million people with the push of a button, but 1 million other bands have reached those same people too. So it's really hard to stand out without getting cheesy.
Would it be fair to say easier for fans to find you, but then on the other hand, easier for them to forget you and move on to the next one?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're just as new at this game as anybody else, really. We've, we're just now maneuvering through the media frenzy of what it takes to get your band known and out there.
Now, I know friends personally who play in different bands of opposing sort of musical styles, but I got to admit I was very surprised when Ken Mary joined. How did he come to join and what has he brought to the band?
Ken Mary has been working with Steve Conley off and on a bunch of projects because Ken's got a working studio, 5 days a week. He's in there either doing soundtracks for movies or, the whatever for all kinds of stuff. And he's constantly working there. So he would hire Steve once in a while to come in and do some guitar parts for him, stuff like that. So they've been pretty good friends. And he knew that Ken didn't want to really tour anymore or play anymore for a long time. And he just asked him one day, he's like, hey, we need a drummer. What do you think? You want to go out and see the world one more time before you give this up, And he listened to the music and he said, this stuff is really, really challenging. And I love that more than anything. So he's been in full bore ever since.
Right. Let's talk Blood in the Water. How did you go recording that with the way the world is at the moment? Walk us through the process. And
the only thing really that was different than the way we've been doing things last couple albums was that at one point we always get together face to face and run through at least the bare bones of some new songs and ideas. And then everybody goes home and works on their own parts on it. But this time it was pretty much all just sending files back and forth. The only cool thing is that we had so much time to work on it that we were very, very inhibited about, not inhibited about what we could change and how many times we could go through something or rewrite something, or we really didn't need to do too much of that, but it was nice to relax and just go, we're not under any pressure. We don't really have a time frame. We just can, take our time with this. And I think it made it come out a lot faster even.
Okay. With regard to recording, are you still doing it old school, the analog way? Talking to a number of bands that I do, a lot of them are very digital. Some are still rooted in the old school way. I'm not saying which is better, but how are you doing it? Have you adapted to modern recording techniques, or do you still prefer the older way?
As long as it turns out warm sounding and real sounding, I don't care if it's a boombox in the parking lot. You know what I mean? What we're after is the sound. In this case, we all have a little Pro Tools system in our houses, and that's how we write. When it comes to actually recording, I know the guitar players did their stuff on their Pro Tools, and then me and Ken do everything at his studio because it's an amazing place. And Bill is on the East Coast, so he just did stuff at a studio there. But we, I think Bill did a little old school stuff. Ken always does, but it gets converted into digital stuff that everybody's using anyway.
The world is in probably the wrong sort of condition to ask that question, because it's a lot less bands can actually get together as a band and do it that way.
Right.
All right. Let's talk about Blood in the Water, which is just, I'm Australian, so I'm going to say fucking awesome. Tell us about that. Who's writing all these songs, for starters? A whole band thing? You? Who is it?
No, I have a guitar writing team that is ridiculous. They try to outdo each other with every song they write. They both write similar and yet very different. And, once everybody gets their flavors on these tunes, they're amazing. I do all the melody lines and lyrics, almost all the lyrics. Ken did a couple songs as far as lyrics and melody lines. And we all pretty much pitch in the same amount of everything on writing these songs.
Who deserves the pat on the back for Walls? Who wrote that one?
Yeah, that was Steve Conley.
Give him a pat on the back from me. The whole album is excellent, but that one stands out for me. Walls, Cry for the Dead, Too Many Lives, and 7 Seconds. There seems to be, I don't know if it's just me, but there seems to be a lot more groove melody on this album than in the past. Am I the only one to have said that?
No, but I think you're right, but I think it comes across in a very heavy way. Like I said, we had no pressures on us. We really had no drama going on. Yeah. It was just very relaxed and pleasant to write and record these songs. And I think that has a lot to do with how they turned out.
Yeah, yeah. But a couple of days ago, before I got word of this interview, I did a review on my website and I said melodic aggression. So that pretty much ties in with what you just said then.
Well, and we were all afraid that we couldn't top the End of Chaos. So we were trying really hard to do that too.
Excellent. Apart from my positive reaction, how's the reaction been? Because it's been out a few days now.
It's been pretty amazing, actually. There's a lot of like reaction videos and stuff on YouTube that were extremely positive. Even guys who said right off the bat, I don't like this band, but it's been extremely positive, even better than we had hoped. And we'll see what happens when we get out on tour. If we draw a bunch of people, then we'll know we got something special going on.
With regard to getting out on the road, how are things looking?
We've got things broken up a little bit. I think we're going to try to do, 2 or 3 weeks in the western half of the U.S. to get our teeth sharpened and get ourselves back into shape and all that. And then January, I think we're going to start the Accept tour in Europe.
Ooh.
So there's been a lot of talks about that. That's going to be a really good tour. And that's with Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons too, is on that tour.
You're upsetting me when you talk about these sorts of touring.
And then after that, we're going to come back and maybe do 2 or 3 weeks on the eastern half of the U.S. And then we're going to try to go back to Europe and do a headline tour and hit a bunch of festivals. So we have a lot of ideas in the works. Nothing is, except for the Accept tour, nothing is really concrete. So
talk about some of the tracks on the album. What's your favorite and where did it come from? Tell me about one of the tracks that you wrote.
Man, people keep asking me which one's my favorite, and I don't know. I like so many songs on this.
There's not a dud on the album. There's not a dud song on the album, mate.
Well, that's good to hear. One of the funnest ones to sing is Cry for the Dead. That one I get, I get my emotional voice on and I get to actually do some fun singing. So that one's on my top list for sure. My wife has Walls as her ringtone on her phone, so
excellent.
I know which one is her favorite. I kind of like Too Many Lives because I get to do my little Halford imitation on that one. So that one's a lot of fun too. They're all really extremely challenging to sing, but that's what I like about them.
Who else are you listening to these days?
Everything except gangster rap. It depends on what I'm doing, what kind of mood I'm in. If I'm remodeling the backyard right now, building gazebos and waterfalls and all kinds of stuff, and I listen to Michael Bublé all day. Yeah. When I get home and I hop on the computer, I will probably listen to, some good old metal, some Death Angel or some Metal Church or something. It kind of depends. If I'm driving, I listen to a lot of Flotsam, actually. I really like most of our stuff. So,
do you remember all the lyrics?
Not all of them. There's a couple of albums I haven't listened to in a long time. So,
one more quick one. What's the funniest thing that's happened on tour?
Ooh. That
you can relate to us that won't get anyone put in jail?
Wow.
What's the first one that comes to mind?
There's so many. Probably the funniest thing that comes to mind, whether on tour or not, when we went over to record Doomsday and Newstead got arrested and we had to all go down there and pitch in our money and our coin and to get it.
And then he bailed on you.
Yeah. And then he bails on us. That's right. We've gotten him back since then. It's all right. We've repaid him.
Okay, so good to talk to you. Thanks for coming on and having a chat with me. Good luck with the new album, man.
Oh, thank you very much.
It is absolutely killer. Love it. And hopefully when the world clears up and gets its head together, we can see you back, or we can see you down here in Australia.
I would love it. I can't wait. All right, brother. We'll see you.